Well, hey everybody, Andy Kvernen here with another Cornerstone Connection Daily Devotional. How many of you are black and white thinkers versus how many of you enjoy or appreciate thinking more in the gray? In our family, we have both. We have a couple of us that are probably more black and white, and we have a couple of us, maybe three of us, that are a little more in the gray, in nuance. And Christy and I actually have this discussion fairly often. She's pretty black and white. There's right or wrong, there's do or don't, there's you said you would or you didn't, and I appreciate that. And one of the beautiful things about Christy is she's a woman of conviction, and I really respect her for that. For me, although I have conviction about right and wrong and the things that the Lord teaches, no doubt, I can tend to get caught up in the middle a little bit more. And sometimes I'm wanting to think through, well, what are the details? What's the context here? And just this week, I had an interaction with somebody, and we were working out a plan for the future. And I got caught in the gray. And the person that I was working with was thinking more black and white. And I asked some questions, and it ended up creating just a little bit of tension about what we were working on. And we worked it through, but it struck me that the black and white and then gray thinking don't always go hand in hand. But I tell you what, I appreciate when the scriptures teach in a way that's very black and white, where there is no room for gray. And in the Old Testament, we come to the book of Deuteronomy. We're in chapter 28. Here we are in the Bible reading plan. And we're in this great study, but we come to this section in Deuteronomy 28 where the contrast couldn't be any more stark. And in the first part of Deuteronomy 28, God says to the people of Israel, look, if you follow the law, if you do what I tell you to do, I'm going to bless you. But then in the latter part, it says, but if you don't follow the law, if you don't do what I tell you to do, not only am I going to withhold my blessings, actually I'm going to curse you. It's black and white. And let me just read a little bit of the language here. It says, the Lord will send on you, verse 20, curses, confusion and rebuke and everything you put your hand to until you're destroyed and come to sudden ruin because of the evil you have done in forsaking him. God doesn't mince words here. He says, look, if you don't follow the law, you're going to be cursed. And there's no equivocation. Now, I read that, and then I read other places like in our Bible reading plan as well, in say, Psalm 119. We get to verses 41 to 48, and here the psalmist writes, say verse 44, I'll always obey your law forever and ever. I will walk about in freedom, for I have sought out your precepts. I'll speak of your statutes before kings and will not be put to shame, for I delight in your commands because I love them. I reach out for your commands, which I love, that I may meditate on your decrees. Here we have this amazing contrast between the curses for not obeying the law and then the psalmist who delights in the law of God and who says, I love your law. I love what you tell me because I know that in it I can actually choose to have life. And friends, sometimes we start to wrestle with our faith. We start to wrestle with what the Bible teaches. And we forget that the Bible is very clear, that there are blessings for obedience and there are curses for disobedience. Now, for the people of Israel, that was very tied to their adherence to the law as Moses gave it to them. But friends, here's what we know. We know that Christ fulfills the law. And so we know that our blessing doesn't come from our works. For the Hebrews, for the Israelites, they expressed their faith through their adherence to the law. We know that for us, our faith is not expressed through our following the Old Testament law. Friends, our faith is expressed by our belief, by our trust in Jesus, who fulfills the law. And so the same is true as is in the Old Testament. It's black and white. Blessing comes through faith in the one who fulfills the law, and cursing comes from rejecting him. Friends, who are you going to choose today? In the book of Deuteronomy, we read, it says, now choose life. And friends, Jesus is the ticket to that life. We don't need to think in nuance in this. We don't need to think in the abstract. Friends, it's black and white. It's Jesus. It's by Jesus, through Jesus, that we find life. And so we can agree with the psalmist that I reach out for your commands that I love, that I may meditate on your decrees. We can reach out to Jesus who fulfills the law. We can reach out to Jesus, and in him we can find freedom and hope and experience the love of God. Friends, let's be black and white today. Let's pursue Jesus in all that we have and all that we do and all that we think. And God bless you. And Lord willing, we'll see you again soon on the Cornerstone Connection.